All right. Let's start off by saying Barakate Hawa, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Devil Has Come Down. Let's start off by saying Barakate Hawa, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Or should I say, the devil has come down to you having great wrath. And pretty much, this is going to be centered around a video that Elder Yashawamba sent to me. I never really knew about this. I never knew about this movie, so we're going to get into it. I'm pretty sure brothers out there already, have an inkling of what this is about. Some brothers may have already mentioned it in the lesson. I just wanted to do a little something on it because these are the times that we're coming to. I pretty much just put this at the beginning, the fair use notice thing. Just so, hopefully when I play this little clip, they won't take the video down. But the movie is called Executive Action from 1973. And there's a scene here, culling the herd, foretold by Executive Action 1973. Now keep in mind, I read the comments in the comment section, and I was wondering if somebody was going to mention the Georgia Guidestone, which they finally did. And it goes right along with it. So we're going to play the clip, go into a couple of precepts. I really don't have anything planned. A couple of precepts came to mind. I grabbed them up and just go in the spirit because, these times that are coming are going to be some very perilous times, and there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be happening that we will definitely need the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to guide us through these dark hours that are coming, So, matter of fact, another precept came to mind. Let me just grab it just to have it on deck. All right, so now let's go. Let's play the clip.
Pondering how to reduce the population, injecting our boys and girls with poisonous inoculations. Yum, yum.
Real problem is this, James. 2 decades, there will be 7 billion human beings on this planet. Most of them brown, yellow, or black. All of them hungry. All of them determined to love. They'll swarm out of their breeding grounds into Europe and North America. Hence Vietnam. An all-out effort there will give us control of South Asia for decades to come. And with proper planning, we can reduce the population to 550 million by the end of the century. I know. I've seen the data.
We sound rather like gods reading the Doomsday Book, don't we?
Well, someone has to do it. Not only will the nations affected be better off, but the techniques developed there can be used to reduce our own excess population. Blacks, Puerto Ricans, Mexican Americans, poverty-prone whites, and so forth.
These globalists are murderers, they about to hook it up.
I'll play it one more time.
Pondering how to reduce the population, injecting our boys and girls with poisonous inoculations. Yum, yum.
Real problem is this, James. 2 decades, there will be 7 billion human beings on this planet. Most of them brown, yellow, or black. All of them hungry. All of them determined to love. They'll swarm out of their breeding grounds into Europe and North America. Hence Vietnam. An all-out effort there will give us control of South Asia for decades to come. And with proper planning, we can reduce the population to 550 million by the end of the century. I know. I've seen the data.
We sound rather like gods reading the Doomsday Book, don't we?
Well, someone has to do it. Not only will the nations affected be better off, but the techniques developed there can be used to reduce our own excess population. Blacks, Puerto Ricans, Mexican Americans, poverty-prone whites, and so forth.
These globalists are murderers, they about to hook it up.
So you heard him. He said 500 million, under 500 million. And this was a movie that was put out in 1973. Now there's a comment in this comment section that said, you know, this movie was done before these the Georgia Guidestones were done, which the Georgia Guidestones were put up in 1980. I believe it was a man by the pseudonym or the fake name of R.C. Christian, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see here, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Now this was done in 1980. This movie came out in 1973. So
2 decades.
So how, you know, how in this 1973, a few decades from that would be what, the 90s, you know, and the world population currently is over 7.5 billion people on the planet. So that shows you that they want to reduce the population by a big number. So in order for this to take place, they need something devastating to take place, you know, something like a pandemic, different type of viruses, you know, because they can't just go around and just blow people away. I mean, they can do it if they want to, but they would rather, you know, it be some type of so-called natural thing to take the people out. That way they won't have to be blamed for it, you know. Inoculations, you know, which this guy Bill Gates spoke about, which they compared this guy here that was dying in this actually was dying of cancer in this, and you know, this was his last film according to the comments. You know, they said that this guy was Bill Gates. You know, he represented Bill Gates. You know, not that that was a case in the movie, but you know, when you compare what he's saying and what Bill Gates said about the inoculations, pretty much they match the same, even though he didn't speak about inoculations, but he spoke about pretty much bringing and reducing the population of the earth. And you heard what he said. He wasn't talking about white people unless they were, you know, the so-called white trash, as they call them, you know, which some of them are jakes, you know. It's possible that a good amount of them are jakes, you know, because they're under the curses just like Jake is under the curses. You know, so they're talking about brown people, so-called brown people, so-called black people, so-called yellow people, you know. And then he mentioned the blacks, Puerto Ricans and Mexican Americans here in America, you know. So, you know, on all levels, that these devils are showing you what their plans are. And that's a part of the New World Order. The New World Order, when they, in their mind, they're thinking they're going to establish it, which they're not. But in the New World Order, it's pretty much Esau running things, and the rest of the people that are alive will just be strictly hardcore slavery like they were from the beginning, you know. And this is why they want to eliminate a lot of the people off the planet, especially Israelites, you know, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, because their whole thing is the fear of Jake multiplying more than them. Which it's already like that, you know, but they just won't let you know. So they know that it's like that, but they want to cut down Jake from the numbers that they're at, you know. And this is why they put so much junk in the food to make people infertile. I had sent some information out. I forgot if I sent it to Elder Yashawamba or Elder Manadazak or Elder Sakurana. Maybe I sent it to a few of them, where there was this here we go. It's called Jeremy. It's from CNBC.com. Jeremy Grantham warns eventually only the rich will procreate as chemicals leave the poor sterile. And that's pretty much what they're doing. You know, with these chemicals that they put in the foods, in the, you know, in the liquor, in the air, in the water. What they're doing is they're putting it out there so that Jake can become sterile, because they know that we as a people, we multiply quickly, you know. And this is why through these chemicals and the infertility, which in the movie Handmaid's Tale, when you watch that movie, it shows you, you know, that the women that were not fertile, that were affected by that, or were diseased, they would send them out to the colonies to work. But the rest of them, they would make them what? Handmaids. For what? To be able to help the Edomites procreate. You see? The rich. All right? So pretty much, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to destroy the population, and mainly Jake, from multiplying. And this is why they do the things that they do. Because they don't eat the foods that we eat. They don't drink the water that we drink. Even if we eat so-called organic or healthier, it's still garbage compared to the stuff that they eat. All right, so let's go to the first precept here. Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. So things are going to get so bad that there has never been when you go back in history, there were a lot of different situations that were really bad. The bubonic plague and the pneumonic plague, and just different things that happen on the planet, with people and with situations that happen, But this time that's coming is going to make all of those times pale in comparison, because this is going to be that ultimate time. And by the time Yahushua comes back, we're begging the Lord to come back now to deliver us. But by the time Yahushua comes back, brothers and sisters will be really, ready for that deliverance. Like it speaks in the book of Isaiah 66 chapter. As a matter of fact, let me get that real quick. Then we can move on. Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 7. Before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her pain came, she was delivered of a man-child. This is dealing with the nation of Israel. So before we started being in pain, before we were ready to be delivered of whatever situation we found of, she was delivered of a man-child. Why? Because Yahushua was foretold to come before the world was even established. So from the beginning, this was already set in motion. So by the time Yahushua came, Jake back then was ready for that deliverance, but they were already delivered, the ones of the elect. Pretty much all of the nation, but in this time coming will be only the elect. But in the kingdom, all of Israel shall be saved. It says, who hath heard such a thing? Who hath seen such a thing? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day? Or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. So pretty much, we're in tribulation now. That's what, Jacob's trouble is about. And when that comes, not too long in the near future, once they make this microchip mandatory, which is a mark of the beast, and World War III is fought, that's it. So as soon as we go through those hardships, the Lord will come and deliver us. This is real quick. Revelation 3:10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So these things that are coming are a trial, for what? For deliverance. Just like a woman, if a woman wants to have a child in this society, in this world, a woman cannot have a child without those pain, the birth pains. It's impossible, because that's a curse that was put on all women for the disobedience of Eve. So if she wants to have a child, whether it be a boy or a girl, and she wants to enjoy them, she has to go first through the labor pains, through that hell, through the morning sickness, and, through everything that comes along with it, to the different changes in her body, to everything that has to take place for her to be able to enjoy that child. And finally, just before the child gets there, what happens? They go through labor pains. And those labor pains are intense. In some cases, it's quick. In other cases, it's long. There's women that have been, in labor for days, to be delivered. And then finally, when their baby comes out, they're happy. And they forget about the pain because they're happy that the child is there. But for those moments leading up to the birth of the child, it's very intense. You know, and this is what is going to be happening prior to Yahweh Shai coming back. It's going to be some very intense labor pains that will be taking place prior to Yahweh Shai coming to deliver us. You know, and it's going to be rough. That's why we're reading in Daniel 12 that so there's going to be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. See? And, you know, these sisters that have had children, they know what it is to go through those labor pains. You know, and then they know that as soon as the child is born, they usually don't have any more pain after that. You know, because the main pain is gone because the baby's out of them. You know, so this is how the whole nation of Israel is going to be. So let's go back to this real quick. Let's read that again. Who have heard such a thing, or who have seen such things? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day? It's impossible. That's why the scriptures speak about the husbandman waiteth patiently for the fruit, you know, that he planted, in so many words. Or shall a nation be born at once? No. For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. Why? Because as soon as we went through these labor pains, our children were delivered. Shall I bring to the birth and not cause to bring forth? Right. So the Lord is saying he's not going to give us a stillbirth, you know. So the Lord is going to bring us to the birth, and he's going to also deliver us. Saith the Lord, shall I cause to bring forth and shut the womb, saith thy power? Rejoice ye with Jerusalem, and be glad with her, all ye that love her. Rejoice for joy with her, all ye that mourn for her. That you may suck and be satisfied with the breast of her consolations, because this is what we're waiting for. We're waiting for a consolation. You know, there's a consolation prize, beginning with the tribe of Judah on down. You know, all the tribes that caught hell under this devil and under these different nations, that you may milk out and be delighted with the abundance of her glory, which is what? The kingdom of heaven. You know, so all of the Israelites that have gone through this suffering, which is pretty much the majority of Israel, and even the ones that are well-to-do, so to speak, the bougie jakes, you know, at one time when they first were born, unless they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, so to speak, you know, they went through hardships. You know, they had to deal with the ghettos and the barrios, or whatever the case was, whatever their situation was, you know, unless they were privileged, you know, which very few jakes are, you know. So that is the consolation, the glory of the kingdom of heaven. All right. So now let's read this again, Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Yeah, and this is why we go through the so-called labor pains that we're going through, so that we can be delivered when the time comes. Because this world is marked for death. You know, there's a lot of Israelites out there that are marked for death. All they will do is hear this word, reject it, scoff at it, and eventually what? Be destroyed, be sealed to be destroyed. 1 Corinthians 11:32. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord. And this is why we're going through what we go through. Because we're chastened and we're being judged of the Lord. So that what? That we should not be condemned with the world. And this is why the people that are of the world, these jakes that are of the world, they go through different things, but they don't go through the things that the men of the Lord go through, or, you know, sisters of the Lord go through, because they are going to be destroyed with this world, especially those entertainers and the ones that have sold their soul to get to that next level, you know. So that's why Yahweh Shai said, what is a man benefited if he's gained the world and lose his soul? What can he give in exchange for his soul? Nothing. That's why you see these individuals that sold their soul, these jakes that sold their soul, they're trying to repent from that, but they can't. Because there's nothing that you could put there. I mean, you go off, you commit a crime, or you against Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. In the most cases, you can be forgiven if you ask for forgiveness. The Lord could forgive you. You know, the Lord could forgive us. But once you sell your soul, that's it. There's nothing you can give in exchange for that. And that's why these celebrities that do that, at first they're happy, but they become miserable because they see that it wasn't what they thought it was. If they would have possibly had another opportunity, they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have sold their soul. If they would have known what was in store for them, if they would have known, you know, what they knew at the point after they sold their soul, all the shit that you got to do and keep doing. You see, it says, but when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world, because the world is condemned. So let's read this again. Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, because Michael, which is the top archangel, is going to come with Yahushai to deliver the Israelites. It's going to be Yahushai, Michael, and the rest of the angels coming for the deliverance. The great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble. And this time of trouble that's coming is going to be very harsh. Let's see what the word trouble means. Salakia. Tazarah. Straits, distress, trouble. Vexer, rival wife. Straits, distress, trouble. See? Tightness. An example figuratively, trouble. Adversary, adversity. So who's going to be bringing the pain, the ruckus? Esau. Affliction, anguish, distress, tribulation, trouble. So the adversary is going to be bringing this time of trouble, and which we're going to read in the book of Revelation. So let's read that again. And at that time shall Michael stand up. What time? At this time of trouble. The great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. So this time that's coming is going to be very perilous. It says, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So the elect will be delivered from what? From Jacob's trouble. Let's go real quick to Jeremiah 30. Because it's coming down, man. It's going to come down. It's going to come down heavy. Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. See? Because the Lord will save the elect of the nation of Israel out of these tribulations that are coming. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, see, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Because that's all these nations have been doing, especially Esau, is serving themselves of us. You know, Judah, you know, the Ephraim, the Issachar, Gad, you know, and all the rest of the tribes. They talk shit about the tribes, but they want labor from the tribes. They want entertainment from the tribes. Because at the end of the day, that's all, in their eyes, that's all we're good for, is entertainment and working. That's the only thing that they want to see us doing. They don't want to see us having a good time, relaxing, chilling, you know, working hard, you know, to be able to get a so-called, you know, nice home, you know, and be able to kick back like they do. No, they don't want that. They want perpetual slaves. And this is why they want to inject everybody with a microchip, which is the mark of the beast, so that everyone could become an actual perpetual slave to them. That's a branding of a slave. The modern technology branding of slaves. And that's sound like a topic for a lesson right there. You know, it says, but they shall serve the Lord their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. And this is what's happening right now. You know, we're the house of the tabernacles of David are being built back up to come back to serve the Lord. And the ones that do come and serve the Lord that are part of the elect will be delivered. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar. Which where are we at? We're over here on the western side of the world, where we're prophesying, where the word started going out throughout the world to heal the nation of Israel and gather the elect. It says, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return and shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. Why? Because he promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But I will correct thee in measure, and this is what's happening. We're being corrected in measure, unlike the other nations. The other nations are not corrected in measure. The other nations are allowed to do whatever they do until they go so far beyond that the Lord just rains terror upon them. and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. And that's because the Lord loves us. Who the Lord loveth, he chasteneth and rebuketh often. All right. And this is why Jake goes through what they go through in this society. For thus saith the Lord, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. So all these nations forgot us. You know, we worshiped their idols. We did what they wanted us to do, and then they kicked us to the curb. And that's what these devils do. This is why when Jake sells out, what happens? After a while, Esau kicks him to the curb when he has no more use for them. Because these entertainers are a vehicle to the masses of Jake. And this is why they groom them the way they want them to be groomed. They lure him in, then they groom them the way they want them to be groomed, so that they can push that image out there upon the other Jakes, so that they can be influenced by those bad things that these other individuals are doing, or those wicked things that they're doing, so that they can do it. So that they can kill each other in the ghetto, so that they can sell drugs and, and go to jail and all of this stuff, glorifying in that, so that other Israelites out there can glorify in it. There was a video that the brother Karatazar from the Vegas camp sent me about this woman in the 1930s, a black woman, talking about how she got two men. She got a man and then she got another man. And then when she gives them that good loving, she gives them the claps, and they love it. And it's when I heard that, I was like, oh shit, that sounds like the Foxy Browns and the Little Kims and the rest of these hoes today. And that was back in 1930. So they've been grooming Jake to do these things to push that image on the rest of Israel, because they want Israel to stay blind. Because as long as Israel stays blind, they stay tap dancing for Esau, entertaining them, pushing his agenda. Jake is good. But when you start to wake up and you start to, trouble the water, so to speak, and they start looking at, whoa, what's going on? Then they get concerned. Because now you're no longer under the spell of Esau. And this is what that microchip is all about. The mark of the beast is about putting a spell on the world. And this is why technology has increased as it has. They make people want to have the latest fashion, want to have the latest technology by these different entertainers that they have out there. And this is why, like Elder Apostle Tahar said before, that we wouldn't be surprised if, they start pushing that chip through these entertainers. Hey, get your chip. Are you afraid of losing your keys? Are you afraid of losing your wallet? Are you afraid of identity theft? Get the chip. Be hip, get the chip. Some bullshit like that. And then Jake will take it quickly. Why? Because P. Diddy has it, or Shalaki, Sean Love Combs, and all the rest of these other entertainers, the high ups, Jay-Z's and the Beyoncé's and all of that, the Cardi B's, and all of that, and the rest of them demons out there. And this is what they're pushing. So it says, all thy lovers have forgotten thee. Because the scriptures say in 2 Ezra 16 that they that consent unto them shall be had in derision. Because once Esau don't need you no more, he kicks you to the curb, man. You ain't nothing to them. You're nothing but a slave. You're nothing but a byword to them. If you help them in their agenda, beautiful. They'll pay you for it. But once they finish with you, you're getting kicked to the curb. Ask those scouts, the Gadite scouts that helped Esau take down the rest of their brothers. At the end, what happened? They got thrown right into the same reservation camps that they helped bring the rest of their brothers and sisters to. Now, how about that for a slap in the face? You thought you wanted to be a Sambo, a sellout? Well, that's what you get. You help you help the master realize his dream, and in the master's dream, you are still at the bottom, and you're going to be right where you help put the rest of your brothers and sisters at. How about that? Something to think about for you Sambos out there. All thy lovers have forgotten thee, they seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one. for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. And this is why Jake is going through what they're going through. And you see Jake out there, they ain't trying to hear nothing. They're stiff-hearted, hard-headed. And this is why the Lord is going to allow a lot of these things to happen to them. These different diseases that are spreading out there, these different viruses, famines, death, you know. Why criest thou for thine affliction? So why are you crying when you catch in hell? Thy sorrows is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee. So the Lord is bringing this upon Jake. You know, and the Lord said, look, when you start catching hell, don't come to me. Go to them idols that you were worshiping. Go to Esau. Go to your lovers, to the other nations. See if they'll help you out. See if they're going to pity you. Because they don't give a shit about none of us. And the sooner you get that through your skull, the better. These nations do not give a fuck about us. They only care about themselves. And if you help them realize their dream, they'll be cool with you. But the moment that you no more of a service to them, boom, you're out the door. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. And this is what we're coming to. They did this to us. They helped forward the affliction, but the Most High is going to destroy them. So this here that these devils are talking about, good. Because it's getting closer and closer to the Lord coming and destroying this devil. Where we at? It says, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. Not one, not a few. There won't be a couple of them that's cool that you're going to let just slide in the king. No. Every one of them shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey, because the nations were promised to us as an inheritance. You know? And that's why the Lord told Yahushua, which applies to us also, you know, ask of me and I will give you the heathen for thine inheritance. Because we're going to inherit the heathen. Royalty needs slaves. You see, and we are royalty. But we just royalty that's in exile. We're royalty that fell from a great estate. We're the princes that's walking on the ground, and the servants are riding on a horse right now, which is Esau and the other nations. But the role reversal is coming soon. For I will return health unto thee, see? And the health begins with what? With this word. Did not the Lord said he sent his word and healed them? It says, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord, because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion whom no man seeketh after. And right now, brothers, that is the case. Ain't nobody seeking after Jake. The only thing they want Jake for is what? Entertainment. Labor. If the Kobe Bryants and the Michael Jordans and the Mike Tysons of the world, if they weren't doing the great things that they were doing, they would be of no use to Esau. They wouldn't be seeking after them unless it's for entertainment. Let's look up this word outcast. Nadach. To impel, thrust, drive away, banish. And we've been banished. That's why we are kings in exile. We are a royal nation in exile. Let me see. Let's look up the word exile. See what it says for exile. Excuse me. Exile. The state of being banned from one's native country. Typically for political or punitive reasons. And that's what it is, for punitive reasons. Did not the Lord say, you shall see it no more again? And that's why the Lord himself is going to have to bring us back. And there's many scriptures on that the Lord is the one that's going to bring us back to that glory, to that former state, to set us back into power in that land. And you have individuals that want to go back there now and claim that you ain't going to get nothing from these devils. Because the Lord is the one that's going to give it back to us. And that shows that a lot of these guys really don't understand the scriptures, man. And when we say that, we're not saying that to brag or boast. We're just saying it because it's the truth. You know, the scriptures clearly tell us that the Lord is going to bring us back to Zion. He's going to bring us back to Jerusalem, back to the land of Israel. But you have individuals that want to go there now. You can't get that land now. There's not an argument, an eloquent argument that you can raise that's going to make them devils over there say, you know what? You're right. We're going to give you this land back, you know? They ain't going to do it. Because they are the devil that the Bible speaks of. And this is their time to rule. So exile means the state of being banned from one's native country, typically for political or punitive reasons. And in our case, it's punitive reasons. Because we're being punished. Let's see where we at. So it's to impel, thrust away, banish. And that's outcast. And we've been outcasted. And that's why it says, because they called thee an outcast. Who called us an outcast? These other nations. Saying, this is Zion whom no man seeketh after. And no one is seeking after us. No one's looking to see how we're doing. And the ones that are doing that, the prophets that are doing that to seek after your benefit, you're disdaining them. Because you want to seek the approval of your lovers. You want to seek the approval of Esau. Mainly Esau. If he doesn't qualify you, then you don't feel worthy. A lot of you Israelites out there like that, man. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. If the so-called white man don't validate you, then you don't feel like you're worthy enough. Here it is. This motherfucker is a goddamn slave in power. And if he doesn't validate you, you don't feel worthy. You got to get out that goddamn mind state, man. All right, now let's... So it says, and at that time that people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15, and you know what, I'm going to go straight to the point. Go straight to the point. 14th verse. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Why? Because serious, perilous times are coming. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. And there's going to be race riots, class riots, as you always hear Apostle Elder Tar going to. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. Because what do you think is going to happen? When people don't have stuff, they're going to go to where they can get fed. And out of desperation, they'll take anyone out in their way. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Why? Because there's going to be anarchy in the streets. No rule. You know, you ain't going to be able to call 911. You're not going to be able to, find some type of relief. Because everyone's going to be doing whatever the hell they want to do. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because there's going to be lockdowns. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And that's coming. You know, these people that are lollygagging and laughing, yeah, you guys are crazy, whoremonger, fear-mongering, you know, and all of that. In that day, they're going to be the ones that's going to be in this condition. Big cock diesel men, you know, go to the gym, lift up the whole gym, and in that day, their heart's going to melt. It's going to get real out here, man. It's going to get real in the field. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. See? So the scriptures speak about this great tribulation, this day of trouble. You know? Behold, saith the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me. This goes into something else. This is also a part of it, but we're just dealing basically with the time of trouble. You know, this great tribulation that's coming. So let's go to Revelation 12 and 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accuse them before our power day and night. So this is talking about when Esau goes down. You know, Michael and Yahushua and his angels fighting against, or it says Michael, which Michael is the prince, you know, underneath Yahushua. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. And who was the dragon? The dragon is Esau. Esau's whole system. You know, all of the empires of Esau combined together, which today is a representation of America, NATO, and the EU. That's the modern day beast system that Yahushua, Michael, and the angels are going to be fighting against when they come back. All right, and he is the accuser of our brethren because he accuses us of things that we do, which he pushes Jake out there to do. That's what we spoke about, these different entertainers that use that position that they have, and they know they're doing wicked, uses that position that they have to push out, you know, to the masses of Jake on how to behave themselves. Because these devils know that as long as Jake doesn't behave themselves in the manner that the Most High likes, the Most High will be angry with them. Because they know who we are. But they won't admit it. Maybe behind closed doors they'll admit it, but outwardly they will not admit that. Because if that's the case, Jake would listen to it because it's coming from Esau. Jake is not comfortable with themselves unless the so-called white men, the Edomites, validate them and give them a pat on the back like a good dog. It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb. And this is what's going to deliver us. The blood of the Lamb, the blood of Yahushua. This is the ticket out of here. This is the salvation out of here. In keeping this word, which is in keeping that blood over our doorposts and on the lintels, and, you know, as the scriptures speak about. And by the word of their testimony, because the blood of the Lamb covers us, and the word of our testimony, because this is a part of the our task that we have to do and accomplish. And they love not their lives unto the death. That's right. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Why? Because there's going to be this time of trouble that's coming. For the devil is come down unto you, Esau, the so-called white man, is come down unto you having great wrath. Why is he going to have this great wrath? Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And they know that their time is short. These devils are not stupid. They're not foolish. They know they're foolish in the sense of they destroying the earth, you know, and they're just base men, but they're not fools as far as what the prophecies are speaking about. They know. Let's see the word wrath. Thumos. Passion, angry, heat, anger forthwith, boiling up and soon subsiding again. You know, so their anger is boiling over. Glow, ardor, the wine of passion, inflaming wine, which either drives the drinker mad, or kills him with its strength. So pretty much they're filled with that choler, that extreme hatred and anger, because they see their empire slipping from them. Although they have all the pieces in place, although they have the vision that they have of establishing this new world order, they're not going to get to fully accomplish that. They're only going to go so far. And they see it. They see everything slipping out of their grasp. And that's why we read in Revelation 3:10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, which is what? This word. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And this hour of temptation that's coming is going to be dreadful and terrible. Temptation. Parasmos. An experiment, attempt, trial, proving. So this is going to be an experiment to see who's going to be on the Lord's side and who's going to be on the devil's side, pretty much. You know, and we pray the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Al-Shai, he give us the minerals to endure through this, because it's going to be bad, man. You know, right now, I mean, even though there's a lot of shit happening in the world, when this time comes, it's going to be bad, man. It's going to try everyone's character. We're all going to be tried. Trial proving, the trial made of you by my bodily condition, since condition served as to test the love of the Galatians toward Paul, the trial of man's fidelity, integrity, virtue, constancy. And remember, in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, it speaks about how the wicked are reasoning among themselves about what they want to do to the just to prove, to see if they are the children of the Most High. An enticement to sin. See? What is that enticement to sin? That microchip. Because that's the final thing right there. Temptation, whether arising from the desires or from the outward circumstances. An internal temptation to sin, or the temptation by which the devil sought to divert Yahushua, the Messiah, from the divine errand. So, man, this whole definition is bad. Of the condition of things or a mental state by which we are enticed to sin or to elapse from the faith and holiness. Adversity, affliction, trouble sent by the Most High and serving to test or prove one's character, faith, holiness. Wow. This is a mouthful. Temptation, an example, trial of God by men. Rebellion against the Most High, by which his power and justice are, as it were, put to the proof, and challenges to show themselves. So let's read that again from the top. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And this is why I did a lesson called It's a Waste of Time to try to go back and forth with these people. Now, I want to say this. If the Spirit is on you to do a lesson about particular things, don't say, oh, well, the apostle said it's a waste of time. Learn how to maneuver around situations, man. It says a waste of time going back and forth with these individuals. But if the Spirit is on you to do a lesson concerning some of these topics, by all means. Why? Because it's still beneficial to the ones out there that are going to get it for their edification. In case they happen to know of that way, or that may be a stumbling block for them, and your lesson, they may see the lesson and may be swerved away from that. So learn how to work around situations. Just because I said it's a waste of time doesn't mean that you can't do lessons on certain things. Because if that's the case, we might just pack up and just don't say anything else. And I'm just saying that, just in case of brothers out there that might be, well, the apostle said don't, so I'm not going to make no lessons on nothing. I'm just going to teach a couple of things and that's it. No, that's not what that lesson was about. That lesson was about not wasting your time, busting your head, trying to go back and forth with the individual that's not going to get it. It has nothing to do with doing lessons on certain topics. I just wanted to clarify that up, because with Jake, sometimes you got to give specifics, then specifics to the specifics, and then specifics to the specifics of the specifics, and then you still got to be more specific, because if not, they'll just paint it as a blanket statement. But anyway, that's the end of the lesson there. It's called the devil has come down to you having great wrath, and I pray that they don't flag this video because of this video that I played, but I'm going to play this clip and then close it out with that. And with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. Till the next time I say shalom.
Pondering how to reduce the population, injecting our boys and girls with poisonous inoculations. Yum, yum.
The real problem is this, James. 2 decades, there will be 7 billion human beings on this planet. Most of them brown, yellow, or black. All of them hungry. All of them determined to love. They'll swarm out of their breeding grounds into Europe and North America. Hence Vietnam. An all-out effort there will give us control of South Asia for decades to come. And with proper planning, we can reduce the population to 550 million by the end of the century. I know. I've seen the data.
We sound rather like gods reading the Doomsday Book, don't we?
All-out effort there will give us control of South Asia for decades to come. And with proper planning, we can reduce the population to 550 million by the end of the century. I know. I've seen the data.
We sound rather like gods reading the Doomsday Book, don't we?
Well, someone has to do it. Not only will the nations affected be better off, but the techniques developed there can be used to reduce our own excess population. Blacks, Puerto Ricans, Mexican Americans, poverty-prone whites. To do it, not only will the nations affected be better off, but the techniques developed there can be used to reduce our own excess population. Blacks, Puerto Ricans, Mexican Americans, poverty-prone whites, and so forth.
These globalists are murderers, they about to hook it up.
And this is why it's a waste of time.